I was going to say every single game was a good game, but then I realized Ronan's got blown out. And then Maliri Trojans also blew out one unit. But other than that, I think all of them were close. पाकिस्तानी है ना भाई, क्या कर सकते हैं? पाकिस्तान में पाकिस्तान में रह के करप्ट ही होना है।
चलो भाई गो करो।
Welcome everybody to League Report, where we give you the ins and outs of the league.
I'm your host, Ans Azhar, and this is my co-host, Shahzain Malik.
You see that? You see what he just did there?
Last week, badla.
This guy is getting dementia. He forgot that I started this. I'm the one who says these things.
I'm the host. Anyway, we will be doing recap of Game Week 5 today. 6, my bad, yeah, 6.
I told you, dementia.
6.
It's okay, old man. It's all good.
The first game we'll talk about is Ronins versus Raiders.
Big game.
No
Huge ramifications for C2 standings. I don't know, it was.
Very straightforward, I told you guys.
That's what Ans was saying it was going to be, and he was right, credit to him, that it wasn't going to be close, and we were all let down by Ronins. Whoever was on the Ronins roller coaster.
Yet again.
We have the highest of ups and then the Ronins of
when
downs.
When was the highest of ups?
Well, they beat the other teams, that they won against.
Who won?
They win, man. They win sometimes, and you're like, "Ye dekha, ye hi hai. This is the team we know that they can." And then they.
The first time Raiders ने Ronins कराया, मैं इससे शौक हूँ या मैं ये.
तुम्हें क्यों शौक है?
मतलब मैं.
Ronins को देखना हारने से, हाँ? क्यों शौक है तुम्हें?
Look at this stat sheet, man. None of them have double digits. And nobody on Ronins has double digits. They had 10 points in a half. मतलब Raiders या तो कोई 7-footers लाई हुई हो या कोई मसला हो, कोई defensive stoppers हो, वो board पे ठाप रहे हो बॉले. It was just a sad offensive showing. It showed a lot of Ronins की inherent mistakes, how they like to cluster up in the paint. How they like to, and it started.
Yeah, please, yeah, एक second. Maaz, please close your ears. Producer Maaz, please. You don't have to hear this.
I think I will credit them this कि they started off well with their rotation. I think from a lot of teams they at least know rotation basic होती है ना, wing पे घुमानी है, पेट पे डालनी है. But उसके आगे creation जो है ना, the next step कि कोई create करे, वो नहीं इनको आ रहा था. Like मोहित को ball drop होती थी, मोहित वापस फेंक देता था. मोहित कुछ भी face up भी नहीं कर रहा rim पे.
But I also to further your point, I think Moyed, when he goes up against bigger defenders, he has a tendency to not use his body aggressively. He starts fading away, taking shots away from the rim.
Yeah.
And I think over time he learned. But at this game, it was fade away.
I think Mohit, he should learn by now. This is, he had matchup किया था Mubashir, who's lighter than him, Sajid, who's lighter than him.
Muiz भी तो था.
Muiz तो खेला ही बहुत कम. Muiz तो barely played. हालांकि Muiz से साथ समझ आती है कि चलो Muiz, you can push Muiz.
But what I'm saying is, how much length is there really in C2? So I guess that bothered him, and so they didn't get anything from him. Maaz had an uncharacteristically bad game.
He had
4 points. Zerko had, I don't know how many he had, but he was also not up to his usual standards. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're not getting offense from these three guys, then what is left to Khizr and
was injured also. He barely played. Khizr तो भाग ही नहीं पा रहा था, तो उसकी भी, हालांकि he tried अपनी तरफ से, he had a few defensive stops, लेकिन other than that he couldn't do much. बाकी for the Raiders it was Humam, everybody chipped.
And also, but credit to Raiders, they did their job. They came in, showed that they are the class of C2.
Yeah.
And I think the only loss they had was against Void at the very beginning. 1 point. These guys are serious this season, and they're coming.
I think over the season, Raiders have gotten better in terms of they've understood कि rostrum को क्या रखना है. Because शुरू में Mubashir point खेलता था, इस game में Lukman started at point and Mubashir was playing with him, and उनका first 5 जरा बेहतर था. Humam था, Daniel था, और उनको understand कर लिया. Baloch off the bench आता है, Berry off the bench आके solid defensive. He's full court manning people. He's licking his lips and actively.
And the people you just named are very, very good at scoring as well.
बिल्कुल.
So.
So Berry was the guy who got that football technique.
Yeah, I mean,
To clarify कि वो क्यों हुआ, I think I understand क्योंकि वो
constitutes as a technical as a taunting.
As taunting, yes. It's taunting the players and any form
because they can't kick the ball like you can. So obviously that's a taunting foul.
तो taunting की वजह से उसको मिला and I think he was confused. He was बहुत ज़्यादा देर वो bench पे जाके बोलता रहा मैंने क्या किया ऐसा के बाद. So I wanted to tell him लेकिन अब मैं बता रहा हूँ.
But also beyond that, if there's an intentional kick to the ball, that can also be classified as a technical. So both ways you can get a technical. Do not kick the ball essentially is my point.
So had a good game. He had 12 points, 11 rebounds, solid game from him. He had I think 2 threes as well. So Umam is my favorite player on the Raiders. Raiders is very stacked with a lot of talent. Like बहुत अच्छा है. It'll be a pleasure to have them in C1.
Yeah,
I'm very happy.
Assuming that they win, I also want to give.
C1. Assuming what?
They have to beat the next team, right? Otherwise, Malir has a chance to take the top seed. So if they lose next week and Malir wins, then Malir goes up, automatic promotion.
They won't lose. Who's the game? Is there?
They're against Checkmate, but you're just assuming things right now, man. There's still mathematically possible.
C1.
But I do believe that they are the class of C2, and I think they can make it to C1. And I want to also shout out to someone that I don't think we give a shout out enough to, is the captain of Raiders. Bashir has been a steady hand for this team for many seasons, and he has shown his, if not, his improvement on the court is already there, but as a leader also, getting all these guys together and making a core.
Together, And I mean, cricket watch parties हो रही होती हैं, games की and everything. So
you can tell that they're a close unit.
Close unit. That's what matters in the end. जिसी तरह मैं Rollins का बोलता हूँ, they are close unit. जो close unit होते हैं ना, जिनका culture developed होता है, they then come out to be Omega का type, 2-3SB की type. Those in-house core team names. इस तरह का we need more of these teams, and credit to Mubashir for that.
Yeah. And one last thing, before the season started, Mubashir reached out to us and wanted to have a scrimmage against 2-3SB, and that first scrimmage that we had, they beat us.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Fun fact. So don't finish second, because then we're going to play against each other and then we might get knocked out in the first round.
Umar said that these are the first round exit. Baba boli ja rahe wo first round exit.
I mean, Umar speaks for Umar. He speaks a different language.
That's the first game.
So the next game we're going to review is Checkmate versus Dukes. And this was a game that was coached by Ans, and his side finally won. So he's 1-1 as a coach now. After costing Dukes last week.
Trojans को भी मैं जितवा रहा हूँ तो खैर वो कोच कुछ नहीं करता, खुद ही जीतना होता है, लेकिन आई एम हैप्पी कि मेरी थोड़ी सी इनपुट की कोई वैल्यू थी उधर, और आई थिंक गेम प्लान जो बताया था मैंने, दे एग्जीक्यूटेड इट वेल. Even though Dukes did not have their star players, Amir and Maaz, जिन्होंने उनके लिए सारी bulk of their scoring किए throughout the season, but they played, I think, good team basketball. जो मतलब they passed out the ball really well. Everybody got involved.
I hope they're there for next week, because it's going to be a big game between them and Void.
They probably are. They're going to be there.
Are you going to be coaching that game too?
Hopefully, yeah.
So tell me, what did you tell them?
I told them that the way they played against Void, Checkmate hit a lot of threes. एकदम से कोई burst of threes मारे थे. That's why they took the lead and they could have won the game that way. So I just told them to stay in front of Faraz, don't let him get an open shot. Even Usman also, they don't take 4 shots, they rotate the ball well. Usman had a good game, he had an okay game. But I think the Checkmate problem is
leadership.
It's not talent का कोई कमी नहीं है. Definitely they're both the point guard, Zishan, Usman, they're very good, both hands, ambidextrous, दोनों hand finishes, shooting, सब कुछ है. But I think leadership, roster alignment, as in क्या बंदा किस वक्त खिलाना है, who is their role player, who is their star player, who's going to get most of their shots, what's going to happen, what's the game plan. ये चीज़ों में I think
they're lacking, but that can be credited to them being a young team. Usman's only, I think, 23, 24, early 20s. So he has a lot of time to grow into being a leader, but right now, as you can see, that he's not there yet. And hopefully if they, because I think now Checkmate is one of the teams that is in line for relegation. So if they do come back next season,
do you think they come back, or do you just blow it up and just go your separate ways, join other teams?
I don't know. It depends. I'm not familiar with what's happening within that locker room.
Like I say Pandas, they exploded. not like literally. They
Pandas
disbanded.
like the animal are going.
Yeah, they disbanded. Ashir went to T6 and Ashir's found a home. Ashir did really great things. He's been playing well. He's been providing solid minutes. It's not like कि वो ऐसे ही वो आके थोड़ा बहुत खेल रहा है. वो actually खेल रहा है. और इस तरह in my sense, even if Badr was playing, Badr Zimi was also joining Ronin's, I believe, before the season. But so मतलब I think these guys sometimes you don't have it in you. Like आप नहीं कर सकते अपनी लीग में एक अपनी बना के leadership करके. But I hate to see wasted potential. I think Usman is a really, really great player. He's very, very talented. And Zishan is one of my favorite players in C2 क्योंकि both hands उसका सब कुछ है उसका. Ambidextrous as hell है, सब कुछ है. But they're not getting results at all. This is very sad to see. I thought कि checkmate.
But hardness is part of learning, right? So I mean, they're young right now. I want them to stay together and grow together. I gave the example of Raiders as well. They kept their core together, and now they're a powerhouse C2 team. And they're, I think, once they get promoted, they'll give people trouble in C1 as well. So that's what you can do as a core. Of course, if you talk about individuals who are already a little ahead of the curves, like Usman, and you took Zishan's name, they can go to other teams and become pieces.
And another person we didn't talk about is Omar also. He had a very great player.
He's also really good. So I'm saying that these guys can get into other teams and become pieces for other squads, but it really, really depends on how close these guys are to each other and what they want out of their future. Do they want to learn together, or do they not feel that sort of loyalty to each other?
So we'll see what happens with them. That's we'll give out some stats. Daniel from Dukes had 12 points and Shiz had 10, and it was a team effort. Aswan had 7. It was a great rotating team effort for checkmate. Usman had 9 and Haider had 8. The rest is pretty self-explanatory. Single digits. Sare. Umar had 8. Arbaz had 7. They did well to stop the threat. So unko pata tha Arbaz was a threat, Faraz was a threat, Usman was a threat, but he still got his points sort of about. So yeah, that was the checkmate versus Duke's game. The next game we're going to talk about is Maaz versus Barrier Ballers. Turned out to be the game of the weekend.
In my opinion,
it upset a lot of players. Upset a lot of predictions from the players. Barrier was supposed to win this, but due to some players' unavailability, they ended up going down to Mavs.
Yeah, I mean, not just I wouldn't just say that it's because the players weren't available. I think Mavs really showed up. They understood the assignment and then they just followed through.
They saw a chance, they took it, they grabbed it by the neck, never looked back.
This is why we say you don't take any of these games lightly. You have to be serious every single game.
And because of that, this थोड़ी सी ramifications बता दें. Now Beria might be facing relegation. So so it's just one game of the season आप सोच सकते हैं, but it can cost you very dearly. So about this game, क्या कहते हैं, Beria did not have Nakash or On. There's 2 star players, but they had enough. I believe they had Zunair, Ali Hassan. They had Hamad. Hamad had 15 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and Ali Hassan had 12 points, 7 rebounds. So these two alone should have been enough. Zunair also had 11 points, 15 rebounds, but they were not. They were upset by the Mavericks' very own Tayyab Jadoon, who had several lefty going left with left.
I don't think they were prepared for him.
I mean nobody was, honestly, because he wasn't getting a lot of minutes prior to this game. He was getting some minutes. He was mainly just getting like fast break points. So they hadn't seen the variety of finishes he had. He was going left say in the air, double pump fake karke left se finishes the.
And I think he was getting to the rim and open because a lot of, obviously, of defense transition where they were able to run, but there's a lot of gaps opening up simply because Mubarish and Usman Khaja, they were hitting threes. So you have to go out on them. That leaves someone to be able to penetrate, and then he was just taking advantage.
Mubarish had 4 threes, Usman Khaja had 2 threes. So like you said, there's
perfect storm from Mavericks.
Bilkul.
Is Mubarish the most underrated 3-point shooter?
He's definitely up there in terms of underrated. I think Shahzain is still number 1 in my opinion of the most underrated shooters. He's gone into a slump now.
For C2, I think Mubarish is the most underrated.
C1.
Oh, sorry.
They both are extremely underrated. They're so
agree.
proficient with their 3-pointers. It's unbelievable.
Mubarish is also very streaky. Mubarish एक साथ ही 4-5 एक साथ मार जाता है.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Mubarish. Every time he's playing, I'm always there.
We've seen
cheering
that.
Let's go Mubarish. He's my
Bagi,
guy.
Nabil also, I think Nabil also has had an impact on the Mavs team.
He was late to the game.
he was
Half time we got enough.
he was late to the game. He was half time पे आया था and उसके जो stats हैं वो half के बाद है. He did a good effort. I think 6 points, 5 rebounds हैं उसके, लेकिन they don't really use him उसका, but he's still showing up, doing great work for them. And I'm excited to see what he develops into. But yeah, so that's the news for this
Yeah,
week.
there's a huge ramifications which we'll talk about more in the preview episode.
Yeah.
But so far, wow.
C1 भी हिल गया guys. आप C2
And people were saying it's predictable. They
Yeah.
said that C1's predictable.
Literally,
Well,
बहुत
predict this.
Yeah. Chalo. Alright, the next game we'll talk about is Omega versus 2-3SB. Just a normal game. 2-3SB ended up winning this game. Next game we'll talk about. No.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it a little. It was
One of the most anticipated games of
yeah,
the season,
and,
finals
and it's
rematch.
always like it always feels like a final. Even Abhi, a regular season game, I saw
The atmosphere was insane.
yeah, I saw several of my students pull in. I saw family, parents. I saw a bunch of people. I mean,
I mean,
it felt like a final.
And the fact is that even though those people were in the audience, we still had over 1,000 views
on YouTube.
on YouTube
That's
already.
insane. And
So-
that's just a regular season game.
Yeah,
So
we haven't even like playoffs.
भी नहीं अभी तो. So yeah, it felt like a finals game. The atmosphere was insane. It was
The game was awesome. Back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth, insane. Some really great parts of it, like the Usman Khalid nutmeg 3, the Z Abu Musa 3.
That was part of a 15-0 run when which was capped off by that 3. I think even after that, you guys scored another 4 or 5 points.
And
if I'm not mistaken.
then we took a lead, and then 2-3SB came back with that Z Abu Musa 3, and then shushed the crowd and. Several great plays, so many plays.
And there was
Timmy 3, Shimmy, step back 3 from the corner. Zafar got 3. There's so many moments in this game.
It was quite incredible to see everyone having big moments. TZ also had a 3-pointer and one, which seemed to suck the momentum away from 2-3SB. But then Omega wasn't able to ride it. But like, on another day, that goes in, and then Omega ride that wave and just take it home also. So.
Yeah,
This game is always back and forth.
Yeah, all the stats will mention that Shaf was the player of the game. He had 21 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Timmy had 7 points, 5 rebounds, but all 7 points of his is one free throw and 2 3-pointers. The 2 3-pointers they were very clutch. They were very timely, fourth quarter buckets, and
I think he only had the free throw in the first half, and the rest of his points came in the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter में 2 threes हैं. दोनों threes back big important time पे थे.
And then Zafar also I think had big time.
11 points Zafar by is that
11 points.
11 points,
rebound.
1 rebound.
Yeah.
Is that Z Zafar by na?
Yeah,
Zafar Bhai, yeah. And then for us it was
2-man show and highlight packages. I will say
Ali Chandev had 20 points, 22 rebounds.
Allah.
That's insane. That man was on fire.
I heard someone saying that does he ever get tired?
He played the whole game. I was tired looking at him, man. I mean, he does. He is relentless. He is what a basketball player should be. Never giving up, chasing every ball, every rebound, trying really hard at everything. So
he had a fantastic game.
Yeah.
And on another day, that just if you get a production like that from Ali Janze, Omega wins.
Yeah.
Ans also had a great game. My ghost. He had 20 points.
23 points.
Yeah, 23 points. Just
0 assists.
Yeah, 0 assists.
Shameful.
I mean, that just means you weren't getting help. Like that's about it.
Maybe.
Yeah, 6 turnovers. That's classic. That's the most classic on stat I've seen. 6 turnovers.
Stop it, relax. Acha. So,
And yeah, I think the other parts of the game that I feel like Omega will definitely improve on moving forward is that Usman Khalid only had 7, and I think Temur Zahir at 6. Yeah, that's not usual production from those guys. So
yeah.
We were very fortunate at 2-3 to keep quiet.
Credit to 2-3SB defense. Then I think they held us very tightly. I think the defense. I always mention this कि बाहर से दूसरी टीमों को इस्लामाबाद पंजाब में लगता होगा ये सारे 34-year-old बॉयज़ हैं, ये तो बुढ़े हैं, स्लो है, इनको क्या आता है, क्या डिफेंस है, लेकिन ऐसे नहीं है इनका. They're very well oiled, like their rotation on defense. If they playing zone, one of the best zone teams है, and the way they play the zone is very much like a man defense है, लेकिन zone है, and it's very optimally used, and that's why scoring on them is never easy. it's very tough. So that's, I think, one of the reasons why we couldn't score it. But yeah, that was the game. 76-67 was the final score. 11-point win by 2-3 SV.
Yeah, and it could have gotten a lot closer because you guys really were doing that high press in the end all the way full court.
Yeah.
And you guys cut it down to I think 7 after that as well.
Yeah.
So, I'm just telling you, on another day this game goes the other way.
Yeah.
So
Either way, that's it. Yeah, it's fine.
you always got to tune in, man.
Yeah. Always got. Thank you for tuning in. Like the bloody YouTube video also, please. Come on, thank you. Like
And this video too.
Yeah, this video too. Please like, share, subscribe.
Yes.
Anyway, next game we're going to talk about is One Unit versus Mali Trojans. One Unit obviously have established that they're getting relegated, so a lot of their players didn't show up for this game. Senior players like Talal.
You expect better from senior players, but sometimes when the locker room is gone, you can't really help it. You play this game with a passion, and if you don't have the passion.
So One Unit came in a little short-handed, but Mali Trojans did not go easy on them. They wanted to. They gave a lot
Make
of
a statement.
They won this game 87-62, but they pressed a lot. They gave their younger players a lot of minutes. So Mali Trojans had Osman, Kadri, Ali, Saad, all these young 16, 17-year-olds. They were all playing the game. They were full court manning their players. Opposing team ne press kar rahe the, getting steals.
87 points is too much for one side in the C2 game.
Yeah, in the C2 game.
That's definitely running up the score.
Yeah. And for I think One Unit, Mubin didn't show up, even though he should have been. I think Talal to not showing up makes sense. Senior players ki koi riff ban gaya. But Mubin should have showed up. It could still have been a close game. But I was really impressed by Ali Ayan. Ali Ayan is their lefty point guard. He had 12 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists.
Wow.
And he just looks like he has the potential to play for one of these good C2 teams if this experiment doesn't work out, or maybe continue with his role. Kashif had 15 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Kashif hit some crazy hand in your face, step backs, fading away threes.
Wow.
He is also one of their senior players, and that's the story for One Unit. While Mali Trojans, Maaz bhai tried to.
Everyone probably did pretty well.
Yeah, Maaz probably tried to get the scoring 3-point title, but he only got 3 threes in. And Abrar had 14 points, Ghazanfar had 17, 13 rebounds. Assist Maaz bhai ke bahut zyada the. Maaz bhai had 16 assists and 7 steals. And
wow.
Like you can see the steals, 4 steals, 2 steals, 2 steals, 3 steals, 7 steals.
I mean, that's what happened. They were just full court pressing the whole time.
So that was their strategy going in.
But also a team like One Unit scoring 62 on you is very, very bad.
I mean, the One Unit also had Ali, Ayan, Kashif. These guys were playing sahi tha. They were not like just get this over with. They were actually fighting back, which is good to see. But yeah, Mali Trojans proved too much for them. And they've solidified themselves as top 3-2-ish team in C2, and
I think they're definitely in the top 3.
Top 3,
there's no way they fall out of that.
Yeah.
But
what do you reckon? Top 3 is Raiders, Trojans, and then who?
T6.
T6? No Void? Oh, you're Void.
Void lost.
Yeah, Void lost, but
Void lost to them.
Who? Trojans? Yeah, they lost to Trojans.
No, Void lost to T6.
This week.
Yeah. So that's why they're all. That's what I'm saying. They can't fall out of that. I'm not saying they're not, but I'm saying Raiders are already top.
I don't know, man.
I mean, we can talk more about this in a bit, but like, they obviously can go either way. But they are. But that's what I'm saying. I'm giving the edge to T6 because they already beat Void.
Yeah, this was that game. Next game we're going to talk about is Young Hustlers versus the Sabres.
Yeah, what a fantastic game this was. Sure, the Sabres came in completely relaxed. They didn't put any of the starters in, and some of the bench players didn't even play. But they started Ovi, the captain. They started Triple S, Shajil Sethi. They started Mustafa Bengali. They started.
Did they put in Show in?
Yeah, of course. Show started. And they started one more guy who. Yes, of course. The HP's brother, who's also HP, Humayl. And so because these guys didn't get enough time together on the court, they obviously was some growing pains and some chemistry issues. But it was a back and forth game. Young Hustlers, especially with Ahmed Salat, really made an impact early on, and it just kept going back and forth. And I think Hustlers held the lead for quite a bit, and it was in the fourth where the game really started to turn.
Salat had 3 threes.
Yeah, he played really well. He had 3 threes, I think, or 4 threes in the entire game, and he was just consistent for Hustlers. But from the very beginning, we had one guy who really wanted to make an imprint. He wanted to show everyone that he is the man, and he was cold. He was absolutely terrible. He was getting his rebounds, but he couldn't get anything going on the offensive end until it was the fourth quarter, and that's when it was showtime. Shahzain came in with bucket after bucket after bucket, and you had Hustlers just getting confused as to ye kya. They just could not understand what was going on, and we saw highlight reel, show reel after show reel after show reel. And that was that actually. There was even a point where Hustlers took the lead, and then Show came down and hit a big 3, and obviously after that you got the show reel.
Yeah, Maaz had 15 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and
he hit some big shots as well. He had a lot of threes.
Show had 10 points, 13 rebounds, so he's a double.
Yeah. Show had 10 points, 13 rebounds, and like the reason I think he got man of the match over Ovi was because his offense in the fourth was
quarter.
Instrumental to the win. Yeah. I mean, watching the game before that flurry, it did seem like Hustlers were going to take it. I felt like the momentum had swung towards Hustlers, and then that's when the show.
I'll also give credit to the Sabres leadership. They did not think of subbing themselves in at all.
They were
very happy that हार जाएं, but they सीखे कुछ. They were giving their best. That's very important. As in a lot of teams do this, even not just senior team. junior की बात नहीं. You just panic and say कि I have to save the team. But if you don't put these guys in these situations, they have to save themselves. So they'll never amount to that. So I think that's credit. I wouldn't be able to do it. Honestly, Hassan bhai is a great leader.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys what Hassan said to us also. He said that he told his entire team, the starting fives, which includes your Kamils and your Heather and your RAs, all these guys, you guys come every week. You start, you play all your minutes, and you see these guys on the bench not cheering you on, not trying to get a single minute in. Most times, never getting any playing time.
Yeah.
So when you see these guys playing, you all need to be on the bench cheering them on the same way. 100%. And so they were all there.
That's a great mentality.
Cheering them on, and they won. And one of the guys I didn't even mention, I'm sorry, was Agha. Agha also gets very few minutes for this team, and he also had really big buckets for them in this game. So it was nice to see everyone just come out and have them on.
Next game we're talking about is Mambas versus Bounce. This was also a very back and forth affair. Looked like any team could take it. Going into it, Mambas have had bit of a sorry season. Bounce was also coming off a loss, I believe, to us, right? Yeah, Pichla game comes in.
You guys? Achha.
Yeah. So Bounce was also making a statement coming back. So this game started off very hot. Shamir show.
Like Shamir has confused with Shero show.
Yeah.
This was Shamir's flurry.
And Shamir had first quarter. And I think after his second shot, when first was missed, second went in, उसके बाद दोबारा बज जाती जा रही थी उसके बाद. And I don't think Bounce even fed his hot hand. I mean, if they did, he could have gotten 7-8 shots.
This was, I think at one point it was 12 Shamir, 3 Mambas.
3 Mambas. पूरी Mambas से outscore किया हुआ था.
And 4 times over.
4 times over, yeah. And I mean, Mambas could not buy back. Achha, the other curious thing was that Mohsen has said that he will play only man now. And he started off with man.
Okay, very
and that was why Mambas का थोड़ा सा offense समझ नहीं आया था उनको. Like they took time to adjust. I mean, first quarter में सिर्फ राजा भाई का score था. Maybe I think he had a layup, maybe or free throw.
No, he had a free throw and a layup.
Yeah, तो राजा भाई का score था. इस तरह था. अब वो they couldn't adjust, but आहिस्ता उनको समझ आने लगी करने लगे. And then Mohsen लोगों ने भी zone करना शुरू कर दिया. तो that was I think key. And 3-point shooting, I mean, Shamir he hasn't had the season.
That's office standard.
Office standard नहीं था. But he showed why Shamir Zahir, man. I mean, Zahir brothers जो है ना, फिर ये threes मारना शुरू होते हैं तो पागल हो जाते हैं. और फिर उसके बाद Shamir scored down.
I will actually argue that no one gets as hot as Shamir. When Shamir is on fire, he can just.
I have seen it in Malay. I've seen him hit 12 threes straight, as in no miss.
Yeah.
12 straight.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to literally knock him to the ground to like shake things up. लेकिन Shami बहुत hot हो जाता है, but हुआ ये कि they stopped feeding his hand. He got cold, he got tired maybe. But I think Bounce को जो Maaz का comeback वापस आना इस तरह शुरू हुआ कि they could not get inside the paint. Inside से score नहीं होता. They were throwing up threes, some were going in, some were missing, and just a fast break लग जाती थी.
I also think that Maaz changed their starting lineup in this game. It was completely shuffled. I think Raja started.
Yeah.
Obviously, because he had 3 points.
Yeah.
And
Zain didn't start.
And I think Nomi didn't even start, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Which was a big shock, at least for me, from watching. I didn't understand that.
They're trying out new things clearly, and I think it didn't work out for them. The start, I think it didn't work out for them. What worked was when the third quarter or second quarter के बीच में when Ramesh came in.
Yeah.
And he came in. I was listening to him on commentary, so he came in saying यही कि I'll push the pace and I'll do some scoring. हो जाएगा, tension नहीं लो. And when he came in, he immediately started pushing the pace. He gave trailer passes. He made a few shots. He made a few layups. He drew some fouls also. And he started chipping into the lead. पे वो bench पे चले जाता था. But he kept fighting. He kept bringing him back. I think Ramesh को काफी credit दिया जाएगा for that.
I also want to say, because I think we're going to move on from the Ramesh point, but like, that's just the class of a player Ramesh is. Like, you're talking about a league of basketball which has been around for 6 seasons, right? And for this team, he barely gets any minutes.
Yeah.
Right? You have another competition under the League of Basketball banner called RBL. We've had 3 of those.
Yeah.
Right? Out of the 3, Ramesh has won 2. And with the key role. Yeah. So why is it that he can play a key role and win 2 championships on those teams?
Yeah.
But for his own team where he plays for his club, they can't even find 1 minute for him to play.
I think.
And when he does get minutes, he produces.
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing? Like,
him and Amar, I believe, were very key in this game. Amar also played a few minutes. He had some pick and roll plays with Bakhtiar and Nomi. And his defense, obviously, and the way they pushed the pace, both of them, they were instrumental in their comeback. And Bounce struggled because उनका weakness ही pace है. और अंदर से उनकी passing चल नहीं रही थी, हो नहीं रहा था. तो the only way they stayed afloat was कि वो शुरू की जो lead बन गई थी शामिल की वजह से. But I think Nomi had a very bad game. He had, let's see, Nomi's point. Nomi's at 8 points, 11 rebounds, but that was nothing.
That's not up to his standard. And I think he also had the worst play of the game, which was where he kicked the ball or threw the ball and got a technical, because the game was still within.
It was like 4 points. The game was 4 points. Nomi got the technical. Usse possession bhi chali gayi. Everything went wrong udhar se. And I mean, I saw Nomi miss a lot of open, easy shots. Like pick and roll over tha. Usme Nomi was wide open versus a smaller man. You should finish that easy, bilkul easy. And I think he did not put enough pressure on Bounce to switch to zone early. Because man में उसको हर play पे खाना चाहिए था. Every single play, you get a switch, easy score था. I think वो बुरा था. बाकी I think Raja bhai also did miss a few layups of his, and
his threes
weren't falling, shots weren't falling. I think he's still not getting his groove back. I think Zain played बहुत ही कम with this game.
And I think when he played, he wasn't an impactful player.
उसका भी नहीं impact आ रहा था. I think rotation wise they're not getting this set right, and it's clearly a problem with them. But credit to Bounce.
All season we've been saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Full roster of talented players.
Yeah.
But
set on the floor जो होता है वो कभी impactful होता नहीं होता. But credit to Bounce, they pulled the win out.
One last thing I think I want to clear up is about Ramesh and Amar that we talked about, that they're very key players and they should have minutes. That doesn't mean they should be playing 40 minutes a game. What we're saying is at least give them a role, because if you're not giving them 0 minutes, that means you're saying you don't see a single role for a champion and a defensive specialist and in Amar. So, and it doesn't make sense considering we just saw in this game when they were on the floor, they made the run. And when they were subbed off, nothing happened. Bounce just won the game after that.
Agreed.
So
yeah, something to consider for the Mambas. Let's talk about the implications of relegation.
Let's talk about that now, because 1 week left, which means 1 set of games left. With Maaz beating Bahria, that means that Bahria is in grave danger of getting relegated. But because Bounce has also beaten Mambas, and they are also in danger, but not as much as Bahria. So the matchup that's coming up next week is Bahria versus Mambas. So if Mambas loses that game, they're still okay. But if Mamba wins that game, Bahria is relegated. If Bahria beats Mambas, and Mavs beats Bounce, then Mambas is relegated.
Script is flipped, and it will be the shocker of the century.
And but also, just to be clear, Bounce really has nothing to play for. They're pretty much locked into third place.
Yeah.
Obviously, if some things happen, there are like one or two scenarios where they might go to fourth max, but they have the head-to-head on Sabres.
Yeah.
So they're most likely locked into third.
Yeah.
So if they decide to rest their starters, this Bheria versus Mambas game is basically a elimination game or a relegation game.
It's going to be a fun weekend. It's going to be a very fun weekend. मैं C2 नहीं जाऊंगी, part 2 है, 3 है, पता नहीं कौन सा है, लेकिन हो रहा है, फिर से होने वाला है. Spicy हो रहा है, guys. आपने कहा C1 predictable है. Predict this.
I never thought that I'd be talking about Mamba's potential.
Yeah, I do not want to see that happen.
Yeah.
Also,
personally, I don't. I think there's so much talent, and if they get relegated, that would be such a.
I mean, personally, so you do want them to.
No, as in like.
For the league, it's very bad.
Yeah, for the league, it's very bad. But personally, also like they're my friends, man. Like I don't want them to go down into C2. Can you imagine?
Political answer.
Can you imagine what they would do to C2?
That is also.
I don't want them to do that to C2.
That is also pretty damn true. Yeah, C2 is gonna be shaken up.
Yeah, them versus Void.
Yeah.
Void Wednesdays, Mambas Mondays, same game highlights.
That's the next game we'll talk about is Void versus T6.
Oh, transition.
Void versus T6 is the next game. This is also a very thrilling game. Void obviously coming into it was very, very like looking composed, taking a lead, early lead थी. T6 was थोड़ा सा infighting भी हो रही थी उनकी शुरू में first, second quarter में. But when the Raiders bench pulled up ना, असल में Raiders आ गए bench पूरी लेके अपनी. उसके बाद to support T6. उधर से गेम दो नारे लगे, दो उधर टर्नओवर हुआ, गेम यूं फ्लिप हुई. I mean, Void was up 10, they ended up going down 10, और समझ नहीं आई कैसे इन 2 quarters. एकदम से कॉमेंट्री भी सिंगल लाइन स्ट्रीम लाइन चल रही है और एकदम से वापस आने लग गई, तो सब जागने लग गई और गेम होने लग गई. So it was a very fun game.
Look, C1 is not as predictable as C2. C2 is still clearly unpredictable as that.
Yeah, true.
No one knows what's going to happen. Because even when the team is up 10 points, it just flips like that.
बहुत ही. It was, I think, थोड़ा सा, again I'll say थोड़ी सी coaching maybe या captaincy का मुझे जो feel हुआ, I think the right set wasn't put on the court. The 5 players that should have been on the court, like उनका organized set क्या था वो, I think Void also needs to figure that out कि उनके best players क्या हैं. तो ये देखो 15 player होते हैं ना roster में, तो 15 player superstar नहीं हो सकते. Like सबको बराबर shots नहीं मिलेंगी, सबको बराबर काम नहीं मिलेगा. आपका काम है कि आपने assist करना है, आपका काम हो सकता है आप तालियां बजाओ, encourage करो एक दूसरे को, क्या आपको एक भी बॉल ना मिले. तो इस तरह सबके रोल्स डिफाइन होते हैं. अगर आप वो करोगे तो आपकी सक्सेस ज़्यादा एम्पलीफाई हो जाएगा. इस तरह जाएंगे कि यार आज मेरे नाइट है, आज मैं 30 गिराने, मुझे बॉल दो, इस तरह नहीं होगा. आई थिंक वर्ल्ड में भी अभी तक अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं है ये. एंड अजान इवन दो हैड अ गुड स्टार्टिंग गेम. आई थिंक ही हैड द फर्स्ट 3 पॉइंट ऑफ द गेम. उसने पहले शॉट ही उसने मारा था. ही हैड एंडेड अप विद ओनली 8 पॉइंट्स. ही टुक अ लॉट ऑफ शॉट्स और ओनली 8 पॉइंट्स. Aman Irfan had 2 points, 5 rebounds. That's nothing. Asadullah had 9 points, 14 rebounds. That's also nothing. He should have a lot more in this game. I think बाकी किसी ने nobody really stepped up. कुछ भी नहीं था. 1-2 points. That's nothing. For T6, even though this
managed. What did Bailey do?
Bailey, let me see Bailey's points. Bailey also had a few jumpers. I think he had. Hold on. Bailey had 8 points. 8 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist.
So it was just spread out. It's sad that they just aren't figuring out what to do.
I mean, and
I would, before we move on to the other team, I want to just give Void one piece of advice. Go back to the first couple of games where you were winning. What were you doing then?
Yeah.
And what are you doing now that's different? If it was working at that time, why did you change it? Go watch those games, see what you were doing, and then try and replicate it moving forward.
Agreed. MMR had 11 points. That's nothing by his standards. I mean, Azhar did a good job. He had 8 assists this game, which is.
That's what I'm saying, man. MMR, he's an all-star for a reason.
Azhar was forcing him to pass this game. I mean, he was really, really guarding him. He stopped him a lot. MMR took a lot of shots this game. And I think, personally, I think Urad bailed him out really hard.
It was a Urad show.
Look at Urad's rebounds. 29.
30 almost.
30 rebound game जब आया उसका डब्बा खत्म हो गया. Urad had 29 rebounds, 10 points. He missed a lot of free throws, वरना इसके आराम से 15-20 पॉइंट होते हैं.
Damn, it would have been a 20-30 game.
बिल्कुल. And Urad is, he I remember I was chucking up shots though. उस वक्त Faizan and Udaid, these guys bailed him out. Even I would say Ibad and Altamash, they hit a few key jumpers to keep them in the game. उस वक्त करीब रखा इनको. Like this lead of 10 could have ballooned to 20 at one point. But credit to them, उसकी वजह से they gave MMR the space and encouragement to keep driving. He ended up drawing fouls and going to the line, and then he caused disruptions in the lineup because foul trouble में आ गए थे bigs उनके. So they ended up winning this game. Ashir also had, I will give him a shout out. Ashir had 15 points, 8 rebounds. The Pandas का जो player मैं बता रहा था, तो he's clearly having an impact on D6, and he's played really well.
That means 15 points, he might have been the leading scorer of the game.
Yeah,
for at least D6.
I mean, yeah, he was. But Udaid की 29 rebounds वैसे obviously he got player of the game. But like these guys, अभी भी Ashir को I think कम ball मिल रही थी उस वक्त. तो these guys, even Faizan, I would say their center is really good. I appreciated him on commentary a lot. So these guys are a very good team with Udaid. T6 is looking formidable. But question वही आ जाता है जब Raiders की bench ना हो तो क्या होगा? Raiders के खिलाफ जब match होगा तब क्या होगा? So it's going to be interesting. T6 planes जो इनका shape up हो रहा है, it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be interesting आगे जाते हुए season में क्या होने लगे अब.
And credit to T6. Good job on taking down a Void team that was pretty much at one point in the season looked like the most dominant favorite. And now they're just crumbling.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for this week's recap. Join us next week. That will be the last week of basketball we have. Yeah. And it's going to be a thriller. Who gets relegated, who doesn't, shocking, mocking, सब कुछ होगा. So like, share and subscribe. Please.
And then we'll obviously next week we're going to tell you about the review of the game week, but also we'll talk about All-Star.
Yeah.
And potential playoffs, matchups. Stay tuned, guys. Please like, share, subscribe.
Please comment also.
Yeah,
please,
guys. You guys never leave any comments, man. We want to know what you guys are thinking.
Stop it. Okay, guys. See you. Bye.
Cheers.
Please put some notes in front of us where we know कि भाई क्या हो रहा है. मुझे इतना
ये क्या चाहिए तुम्हें notes में?
नहीं ये सही है, but I need this for like every game. How will we, for example?
I have it for every game. Don't worry.
Okay, सही है. चलो यार. Dukes में बैन ऑफ द मैच कौन था? Yes, we
I'll tell you.
what was his stat line?
Stat line भी होगी.
Okay.
I'll remember.
Checkmate का best player कौन था? Usman Malik. But what was his stat line?
I have it in it.